but I feel that we didn't create it, whatever. I mean, but in Wallenpaupack, woo,
yeah,
there was, seriously, out of 1,000 people in our school, there was 5 to 10 punk rockers. I mean, there was some more like the thrashers, you know, the older, you know, people that were into like Megadeth, Venom, Slayer, Anthrax, that type stuff.
Which is what we came out of.
Totally. I'm going to see Man of War tomorrow night. I'm stoked. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. I mean, as far as, and I say this all the time, and in my opinion, I feel that Dan Engvaldson is the man who started CC's, who went to Vince and started and said, hey, I got an idea, I want to get some bands playing, and I think, in my opinion, Dan started it all. You know,
right,
and then from there, it kind of skyrocketed and just exploded, actually.
We'll get back to CC's in a minute,
okay,
but what year would you guys say you guys kind of got into this, though? Like
84, 85.
And you guys were actually running that around here?
No, that's when we kind of got into music.
But when would you say the explosion of the Scranton Wilkes-Barre, would you say like kind of ignited? Would you say 89? Like
88,
what?
80, yeah, because I'll for me, we would go to shows in Allentown or Oliver J's and Airport Bingo Hall. I mean, you know, City Gardens, all types of stuff, CBGBs, blah, blah, blah. But we would go, and that's how we met Steve Golban and like Neil Hussar, of course, you know what I mean? Iconic figure in hardcore, you know what I mean, from our area. Everybody knows good old Neil. And I was just like, there's a hardcore scene in Scranton, or like, and Steve and Neil were like, oh, hell yeah. And then we kind of started coming to the Scranton, and then going to like their practice place. Remember the parties they'd have?
Yeah.
I made out with
Straight
John.
edge parties.
I made out with John Dudek. I love you, John Dudek. I made out with his girlfriend there, and I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I made out, but he knows. I told him, and I was so embarrassed. I was like, everybody's like, that's Dudek's girlfriend. I was like, why is she making out with me?
Sorry, breaking into the dirt.
No, I'm sorry.
All right.
I got a lot of dirt.
There's plenty of that.
Let's go pre-CC's though. Like what venues did you have around here?
Midtown Arcade.
Yeah, Midtown Arcade.
Staircase Lounge.
Staircase Lounge. All those. I mean, all the, you know, Marywood, the shows there. Out in Keystone, the shows out there. I mean,
there was really no centralized place really until CC's came about.
I think so too.
Before
I mean, other people might say something different.
Before we jump into CC's, let's finish our plate with this.
Okay.
How exactly did shows even start up here? Was that you?
It was. For a while, you know, basically what happened was as Matt says, we would go around to different cities and different towns and go to shows, and then finally, you know, we're like, well, let's just do this in our own turf and try to create a scene. You know, it goes back to that old adage from that Lethal Aggression song, if you want to have a scene, you got to make a scene. So that's what we did, and what we originally started doing was renting out fire halls in the White Mills area, right? Something like
Tafton,
that.
and then we had Tafton.
And it went very well there for a while. Unfortunately, one of the last shows I think we had at one of the fire halls, we had a lot of damage. People were, you know, being typical kids, and the place ended up getting trashed, and there was a lot of garbage and a lot of stuff, so they didn't allow us to have shows anymore at the fire halls. And the word kind of got around about that, so to the different places, and it was just harder to set up shows. So I ended up, what was it? Summertimes in Newfoundland they had a nice little spot upstairs.
And then Life Agony played there too.
Yeah, and that's actually how it feeds into that.
Yeah, and then like Sideover played that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And actually, this feeds into the whole CC's thing in general, because what happened is we had Life of Agony up for that show, and it was very successful. I mean, as far as a little show out in the middle of the woods can be. I mean, it was great. So something happened with that place too. They were just a little sketchy with having hardcore bands there. So a year later, when Life of Agony was, I think they were just about to put out River Runs Red. I had been in contact with their manager, and you know, they wanted to come up and play up in northeastern Pennsylvania. So I was a little bit hasty, and I went out and I knew that they were having shows here at the Pancake House, which is a little venue up here in Lake Ariel. and we had some great local shows there, and never really had any problems. So I said, okay, well, let's rent the place out for the night. And again, it was a little bit hasty. Nobody really knew how big the band was at the time, especially because River Runs Red hadn't come out yet. So, needless to say, you know, things didn't really go so well at that show. I mean, if you were a fan of the band and you were at that show, it was spectacular. It was awesome, and you know, but if you had to pay for it, not so much. So, what led me to Vince at CC's was that even after Life of Agony destroyed the Pancake House, you know, they still wanted to come up and play. So I had been in contact with Vince from CC's, and I kind of gave their number to Vince, and he had contacted their manager, and we started setting up shows that way. And that kind of opened the door for Vince, because he found other promoters and other managers and started, you know, dealing with other bands. So, you know, I guess, you know, I may have planted the seed and I might have helped it a little bit, but
he kind of saw that he could make money off of it and
right,
took it over.
Right. But you know,
did, you know what I mean? In the, you know,
yeah.
in the first, you were the one who did it because you were the promoter of those shows, and then it kind of seemed like Vince kind of took it over. It's like, oh, hey, I can make some money off of this. And,
right.
You know.
And on that note, and you know, all throughout the years, you know, Vince may have gotten a little bit of flack from, you know, from us, you know, scenesters and everything, but the fact of the matter is he had the space, he was paying the insurance, and he was paying the bills, and we were just dumb punks talking out our asses, you know what I mean? So I mean, if you know, when you look at it, Vince was a really good guy for doing that. And you know, yeah, sure, he wanted to make money, but you know, who doesn't? You know, he needed to live, and he wasn't like, you know, driving around in a Mercedes Benz or anything, you know. So
he paid us $800 one night.
Yeah.
Life of Agony was supposed to play, another Life of Agony story. It was like the day before or day after Christmas, the 26th, I think it was, and it was something happened, snow, I forget, they canceled. A shitload of kids showed up at CC's, and
I think that was VODs.
Plant?
Yeah,
well,
probably. Plant.
Yeah, then this is, I think, before, this is when you were doing the shows, and that's, I think, when he saw, because he paid us, Plank, $800 that night. We
I bought this coat.
There you go. We went and bought some 8-balls, you know, some hookers, of course. What else?
First things first.
First thing? No, we never played here. No, Bigwig played here. Ball Gagger. We were on like a little tour. They were from California. Minus one played. I got the flyers in my. I can't remember off the top of my head. Forgive me. I mean, obviously, Fat Chance. Obviously, like, you know, Life of Agony was the biggest and most memorable show here. You know, mine was Bigwig show when it was like freezing, snowing, and there was probably 20 people and nobody showed up. But it was awesome. We had fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So what's exactly went down? What was it, 2002, or I'm sorry, 92, 93 was this?
Yeah, I'm gonna go about 1993.
Does it say on the fly? I forget. Does it? I forget.
I don't think so. Well, again, you know, we were fans of the band, and we had Life of Agony up a year prior to that at that little bar in Newfoundland called Summertimes. And the show went really well, and you know, I had been in contact with their manager throughout the year, and we had talked a couple weeks prior, and he said that, you know, the record was coming out, and they wanted to get up to northeastern Pennsylvania to do a show. So I said, okay, let me go find another venue. So long story short, you know, we found the Pancake House. And again, you know, I may have been a little bit hasty in finding, you know, the venue that was so small. But to be honest with you, it wasn't even something that I thought about. The three of us just walked in there before, and we were amazed at how small it really is.
50 feet from the door to the back wall.
Yeah.
I mean,
when we think back in our memory, it's a lot bigger.
300 people?
Yeah, there was several hundred people.
It was total fire hazard.
Absolutely.
Not that we cared. I mean.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, we had no idea that there was going to be that many people showing up.
Especially,
I mean, we really did.
In the country. I mean, way out here, you know?
Yeah. So I may have been, you know, a little bit hasty in that respect. But Life of Agony, they were young in their careers, and you know, they, as far as their treatment of people and dealing with people, I think they were a little green. I don't think they really knew how to communicate very well or talk to people at all. They had some guys that came with them that were huge. Bad idea. If you live in New York City and you're going out to bumblefuck Pennsylvania, it's not a bad idea to bring, you know, somebody that's going to, you know, help you, you know, and be some sort of protection. That's great. But they came in and they were very bullying, and there was an instance where while Life of Agony was playing, one of the breakers or one of the fuses went, so I had to. It would have literally taken me 45 seconds to run around the building and go through the back way, but their bouncer that they brought with them decided to just take the door off the hinges with his muscle, and obviously that's when the damage starts, and you know that's when it started costing, you know, a little bit more money, and I had to, well, I mean, I won't get into the financial aspects of it, but needless to say, you know, when they asked the crowd to tear the ceiling down, the crowd, you know, obliged, and if I wasn't the one paying for that show, it would have been awesome, and you know, kids were getting autographs from the band, you know, with pieces of the ceiling and stuff. I mean, you know, this is all cool and everything. It's long water under the bridge for me, and you know, and whatnot, but it wasn't, you know, someone did have to pay for it, and it was me. And
Walt Wilson from Fat Chance had to fix it.
And Walt Wilson deserves honorable mention because he's the one who did all the work fixing it, and he would be really pissed off right now if he found out they took the ceiling down again.
Totally.
And you guys didn't have anything to do with it. That was Jason going, I want to see you employees tear this fucking ceiling down.
Yeah, totally.
So, you know, so that was you know, the infamous Life of Agony story, and that's all. You know,
it's historic.
Yeah, I mean, you know, still a fan of the band, the first record. You know, I don't have anything to say about those guys. You know, I mean, but you know, someone did have to pay for it, and I did, and I learned my lesson. But my point is after that. That's when I was done putting on shows. I said, you know what, the hell with this, because I had a lot of people around me that were telling me, you know, Dan, if someone gets hurt at one of these shows, man, you have no insurance, yada, yada, yada. And incidentally, at that same Life of Agony show, there was a girl that came out of she just came out of the pit or whatever, and she obviously had been hit in the head really hard because her head was weaving inches from the ground. She was right out here, like, just like, she was, I mean, almost knocked out cold, and I kind of just grabbed her. I said, you okay? And she just kind of like ran away from me and ran right back into the pit, and I'm like, oh man. I was like, this is, you know, like, that's
hardcore.
Yeah, I was like, that is hardcore, and I'm not insured for it. So I said, you know what, I mean right there, it was going to be my last show anyway. But
Sean Collingford got his nose busted or something like that, his eye socket busted or something like that. He went to the hospital and came back.
Yeah.
And got back in that pit.
Awesome. At the same night?
Right back, yeah, the same night.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened, something like that.
The bright side of that is, the bright side is that was my last show. I was like done putting on shows, and that's when I gave Vince from CC's, you know, the number for Life of Agony's manager, and that's when the northeastern Pennsylvania scene, you know, got CC's and bitches we might have about, you know, Vince or anything. He did, you know, he did justice, and he did bring in all those bands. And you know, Lauren, I was looking at that those flyers that you posted the other day, and I'm just, you know, like, it's been a long time since I saw that, and I'm just, yeah, I'm reminded of how rich that was. I mean, you know, it wasn't just like, you know, like balls ass metal hardcore. It was punk, metal, like even hippie stuff in there. I mean, it was rich. Like, it was a really good music scene, and we're lucky to have had it. So the origin of Fat Chance was I was in another band with your cousin James.
Yes.
And Synapse, I think, was the name of that.
Synapse.
And Limiting Factor or whatever. Anyway, long story short, you know, when that band moved on, Fat Chance wanted another guitar player, so I jumped in, and that evolved eventually into FCK, And it's a process of evolving, and you know,
people went to college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People, jobs, people.
When did Fat Chance get together, even before you joined the band?
1988, maybe.
I think 88.
1988
Yeah.
was the year, and I think I made a join about 89, maybe. 89.
And one of the most, in my opinion, underrated bands. Best thrash parts, best mosh parts.
Who's that?
Fat Chance.
Oh, okay.
Come on, you guys had the SOD, the MOD, that type,
shit,
you know what I mean? Like Crumb
Yeah.
Suckers, attitude adjustment type, in my opinion, sound. You know what I mean? It was great mosh
thank you
parts.
very
You just
much.
wanted
Thank you.
to kill.
And then you formed in the FCK.
Yeah, and that kind of just,
on.
yeah.
Was Plank first or after? I can't.
First.
Okay.
Actually, Plank was in between, because Fat Chance broke up for a while.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Plank was the band I was in during the Life of Agony show and that whole era. And then Fat Chance got back together, and then through, you know, lineup changes and whatnot, we evolved into FCK and stayed FCK for a while.
Like just like all those Scranton bands evolving, playing with each other. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, hey, you're not playing in blah 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 band. You're playing in mine now. Hey, bands. First band, 1986, Dan Engvaldsen, high school, Hostile Response. Nobody heard of us. We played a few Ramones songs at a talent show. From there, it went to, you know, I joined First Things First. From there, it went to like One Eyed Baby to FCK to Plank.
One Eyed Baby, yeah.
Yeah. To Fat Chance, to the Finks, to Catfish Bullhead, then to after the Finks was Bigwig, and that's for a large number of years, 7 years. I did the Bigwig thing for a while.
Yeah.
First things first. Band members: me, Pat Matroli, Keats Rickard, Lou Rogai, and Mike Fleming, and there was, like I said, in Lake Lawn Paul Pack, you had the skinhead dudes, and I felt we were more the goofy guys, you know what I mean? The First Things First, we were more goofy, you know what I mean? Keats was the, you know, the pretty guy, you know, the ladies' man, you know, it's Keats Rickard, ladies and gentlemen, you know. So, and it was great, because like when Keats would take me to parties, because he went to a different school, I'd be like, and like people would be like, wow, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm with Keats. Oh, you're totally cool. Automatically, because if I was with Keats, automatically cool. And it was awesome. I didn't get, never.
Because if you were a kid walking around with any sort of like weird haircut and Honesdale Bali back then,
forget it. Yeah.
I used to see fights all the time.
Almost 41, and I've never had a mohawk, and I'm going, got it. Took me some years. But anyway, there was, you know, you had the skinheads of Lake Lawn Paul Pack, and then, you know, the goofy guys, I feel, got together and did First Things First. More of a youth crew type.
Catfish Bullhead?
Members, me, Keats Rickard, John Reynolds, and Jason Sweller, who is now, this is great, lives in Kuwait, and he fixes parts for night vision goggles. He goes out on the field, they give of all people, a gun, a pistol. Sounds pretty dangerous. This is a guy who has gone out in the woods and picked mushrooms just to get fucked up. Oh, I've got a great story about Ern. It's coming out now. He fucked a girl wearing a dress, and you would probably know the girl. We'll get to it after off camera. He was wearing a dress. He fucked a girl, 15 years old. I don't care. It's out. She was 15. Fucked her in the ass. He's fucking her in the ass, wearing a dress, and everybody, it was underneath the deck, and everybody's pouring beer all through the cracks, all over the girl. And she's like, yeah. And, but this guy actually fixes...
Needless to say, she lives in Kuwait now, too.
Yeah, totally. A few little running around, but, you know, the people from our area probably know is amazing bass player, him and Mike Lambert. Come on, you know what I mean? Amazing,
every single member of Fat Kids,
bass players.
FTF was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of them. They broke up too early. Well, we can get into that another time.
Yeah.
Keep on the Catfish Bullhead right now.
Catfish Bullhead. Okay.
Party band.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but still
definitely a party band.
One of the more popular hardcore bands of that whole era.
Oh,
absolutely.
One of my first tapes I ever.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We just wanted, I think we were kind of sick of playing fast, and it was just kind of like that 93, 94 era when everybody was like, it was weird because like you had all these hardcore bands, and I was kind of out of the hardcore, not out of it obviously, but into different stuff I think then. And then you had Strife. I was tripping my face off at Strife at CC's, and
they're playing Saturday.
Earth Crisis and Strife, and I forget who else. I took acid and ecstasy. I think it was great. But anyway, and we just wanted to play different music. I think we were just more groove, kind of like Quicksandish. I think, you know what I mean? I feel Keats wrote the song, so.
Tell us about Plank.
Plank. You want to talk about Plank? Played every show. I'm sure you guys remember every fucking show. Who's opening up? Plank is again.
Yeah.
But hey, if the man was putting on the show, what better way to do it? Put your band on. Open up. You know what I mean? Yeah, we played out a lot, but why not? It was, just another evolving with different members. Shannon Sharp of Wisdom in Chains was it Plank? Or
no, Fat Chance.
He was in Fat Chance. Excuse me. I mean, it was just all revolving members.
Now it's
you kids have no idea how easy
you little
you
bastards.
have it.
Yeah, and everybody's in a band now.
And get, no.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're
get your little pussy pierced.
I mean, it's filtered out. You know what I mean? It's watered down now, in my opinion. Everybody's in a band. I bet you all these houses probably has at least 3 bands. Everybody's in a magazine now. Everybody's signed. It's all Disney.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is cool. But years ago, we had to work for it, and before us, I mean, because Christ, I can imagine what the fuck Minor Threat or Negative Approach went through in 1980. You know what I mean? Christ, I can't even. I mean, when I started touring in '96, it was hard. I mean, there was, thank you for pocket dialers, by the way. You know what I mean? Steve Goldman, thanks for that pocket dialer. And, you know what I mean? It was hard, and you'd show up to the place, nope, show's canceled, and there's needles all over the ground, or, the cops just fucking shut the show down. And that was '96. I can't even imagine what some crazy, I don't know, 1982 or whatever, fucking any hardcore band, punk band coming through and be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot worse. So it's filtered out now. That's why it's watered down, but it's still great because you have the newer bands still doing it, and it's awesome.
All right.
It will never die.
I'm gonna.
I hate the people that say, it's dead. Punk rock's dead. Fuck you. Go to a show nowadays and tell me it's dead. What I got out of it was, it's like my son, Jack Grisham, I think, said it the best. Like, hardcore is like, you get the kid bouncing on the bed, and he's going to keep bouncing, and you're like, stop bouncing, until he falls off and knocks his head open. You know what I mean? And that's it. You take punk rock, you take an extreme more, keeping a positive mental attitude, that whole PMA thing for me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just living life, like there's no tomorrow, man. You got to live every day. Can't worry about tomorrow. You can't. I still live that way. I'm almost 41, and I still live the hardcore lifestyle. For me, it's driving. Don't get my belly button limp. For me, it's being 15 years old, getting in a car, living in the country, and driving 2.5 hours to go see Bad Brains and Leeway. Mm-hmm. And the stage dive and slam dance and just fuck shit up. And you know what was weird for me? Allentown with all the Nazis. You little kids have no idea what it was like. We used to start going with all the Nazi skinheads because you were lucky. You had a shaved head. This guy always had hair, and it was weird.
That didn't make me safe.
Yeah, and you would go up, City Gardens, Airport Bingo Hall. You'd walk up to them, or they'd walk up to you, and they'd have like white Aryan music, war, flyers, and you had to take it. If they didn't, they fucked you up, and it was scary, man. Like. You know what I mean? It was, bats,
there were shows where we were blocked in. We couldn't get out because there was 200 skinheads blocking the exit. I mean, it was fucking scary. And we're 15 living from the country. You know what I mean? So, it was exciting. I miss the Bowery in New York City. It's so gapped now. There's no danger anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
But
Can I answer that one?
Go for it.
Okay. What did I get out of hardcore? Definitely a bad knee. Some injuries. Mostly, what I carry with me today is that independent spirit. The DIY, do it yourself. Try not to rely on, you know, on anybody else. I mean, growing up, you realize you do have to rely on other people, and you can't just be an independent spirit. But you know, I try to integrate any of the ideals that I once had, you know, into my adult life.
Sure.
A lot of them are very unhealthy, like that whole sellout bit, you know, where as kids we were against bands making money, which, you know, you grow up and you realize that's a toxic attitude, because you're going to take it into your own life, and then you yourself are not going to be able to make any money or, you know, be able to progress as a human being. But there are a lot of toxic things that I think I've done away with, you know, that attitudes that I had from hardcore. And, you know, a lot of positive stuff that, you know, I try to take with me and keep with me in my adult life.
I have a, sorry, were you done?
No, I'm done.
I have a steel rod in my leg from snapping it at the Anthrax Club when I was 18. And I will, for the rest of my life, suffer from that, you know. Broke this collarbone from a Killing Time show at the Anthrax Club, dove off the stage, and nobody caught me. You know what I mean? I'm going to show you my scar. There you go, the Anthrax Club.
Butt scar.
Right there, snap my femur. And I think I know who did it, but I will not say. I'll say off camera.
All right.
I don't know. We played, Bigwig was on tour with a band, Blunt from California, and Another Snowy Story. And we showed up at CC's, nobody there. The show was canceled, and Vince is like, I don't want you guys driving home, sleep overnight. So we slept overnight at CC's. And me, Tom Petty from Bigwig, and Shannon Sharp of Wisdom and Chains all sat on a floor, slept on a floor under a blanket, the three of us. Kind of like that, I don't care, fucking freezing, because Vince didn't want to turn on the goddamn heat. You know, but little did he know, we were going through, and Shannon was looking for pipes down in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I can make a bowl out of this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and it was cool, because
Back when
Blunt,
he used to do that thing.
yeah. And Blunt and Bigwig, we just traded members. We'd all get up, we played. Cool stuff like that. I used to leave CC's to go get laid. You know what I mean? I'd go right down the street, park out somebody's house. Let's do it. You know what I mean? I had sex in the Metropolis window. You know that window in Metropolis? Can I get sex stories? Oh, they were so, the mom and dad, they were so great. Vince's mom and dad.
Oh, yeah.
They were awesome, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was, I really feel that, like, there was magic. You know what I mean? There was some magic there, and everybody that's been there and that has played there, they know it, they get it. You know what I mean? And it was just cool. I used to go there and see bands I didn't even like. I was such, and I'm going to say it, I don't care, I was such the regular there until towards the end. But towards the end, I was touring with Bigwig, so I wasn't around. But I mean, I would go there for bands. I don't like 25 to Life. I don't like them. And I'd go there and pay $10 to see. No, Roger can sing. Sorry. You know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? And I was there. But that's, in my opinion, I was, quote, on the scene. But me being on the scene is how I got to, it was a progression, how I got to become in Bigwig, which was more of establishment. I got to tour. And I toured for 13 years with bands, you know, quite a lot of different places. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, for me, it was a dream come true. I'm not just saying it because we're friends with them, but I mean, we all know Option was a great band.
They were, man.
Sideover was a great band. Solus was a great band, and Solus was different than, you know what I mean? And
I was like Ed Gita's band, Bedford too.
Bedford?
They were a great little
Burial Ground, come on. We all loved Burial Ground. All of us, as far as I know. There were so many, and there were a lot of underrated bands, you know what I mean? But we did it, we had fun with it, and you know, we moved on, we have jobs, we have kids, you know what I mean, blah, blah, blah. Some of us settle down, some of us don't.
I think that Catfish Bullhead was truly one of the most underrated bands.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I never, thank you.
To this day.
We only had 4 songs.
It was that 4-song demo, man.
That was it. I really appreciate that, thank you. I think Fat Chance, you know what I mean? But, yeah, but there were so many. You know?
But you know who we forgot to mention is Crutch.
Yeah.
Crutch?
I don't know how
Yep.
we forgot Crutch.
Yeah.
We used to play like tons of gigs with those guys.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Carry the torch. Please. You know what I mean? And like it's never gonna die. For some people it died, but you know, go work your 9 to 5 and you don't have to go see a band if you don't want. And it's cool, forgot to mention, I'm sure Dan's a part of this too. Before we graduated, I have it written down. I have seen 860 different bands.
Wow.
Before we graduated, I have them all written down.
Oh,
Don't let I don't dates. I have no idea, but that's what we did.
Yeah.
We got drunk. We got late. I didn't get late in high school. Nope.
Yeah.
I was a late bloomer. You know, but that's
How
what we did.
about guys? You guys definitely, and I obviously favored you because they're my old boys. You have the longest interview by far.
I'm sorry.
No way.
No. Is there anything you want to go into? I don't want to cut you off. Is there any topic, anything you want to say, any band, any club, anything you want to say? Do it. You feel free. Oh, jeez.
No, it won't be everything. I just wanted slept at CC's. I already got that. Blah blah blah. Remember we were going to go see the Dead Milkmen, and we were like,
Yes,
it was like in
that was one of the shows I was
1985
thinking about.
in Scranton. Dead Milkmen were going to play, and they canceled, and I did not get to see them until 17 years later.
Still never got to see them.
John Dudek, big ups. I'm sure everybody has,
Yeah.
without a doubt. You know what I mean? The Denny's after thing. Did anybody talk about that?
Just what, the gathering?
After
Or
the
Terry's,
show, everybody
yeah.
would go to Denny's. I'm sure people have talked. Oh, I got to tell this story. Midtown and Bigwig did a show in Wilkes-Barre, and this I found this girl, and you know, I was like, she was kissing this other girl, and I was like, cool. I was like, yo, I'm gonna get, you know, let me get you some money. I want you to lick her ass and then make her out with her. And she's like, oh no. I'm like, come on. So Gabe comes around the corner from Midtown. Gabe's like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're gonna get this girl to lick this girl's ass and get paid for it. He's like, all right. He's like, I got 20 bucks. So we gave her $88 to lick this girl's ass for 20 seconds, and there's a video of this too, and there's a bunch of people hanging around in a circle like this, and somebody's filming it from up above, I don't remember who. And we're all counting down 20, and then after she licked her ass, she made out with her. $88. I want to find
Incidentally,
her.
she lives in Kuwait too.
Yeah. She's hanging out with her. So I want to find that girl. I know I'm making this long. I'll just tell you blah blah blah. Can I just tell a story about Chuck from Weston and how I met him?
Go for
It's
it.
cool.
Weston, there were another Pennsylvania
Weston.
band. Absolutely,
Yes.
way overlooked.
I met Chuck from Weston. This is great. Being young, going to shows, Oliver J's, and me and this girl took a walk in East Fleming, and we're coming back, and we got jumped by 3 guys. So you know, they get jumped. They're all drunk and everything. They're hitting, and I'm ducking it and everything like that. And I look at them, and they stop. All of a sudden, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? They just stopped. And I turn around, and I look at, it's 7th Street, Oliver J's, and there's all these skinheads outside. Seriously, probably 50 to 75 skinheads. And there was a period of time where it was silence. And then Big Trouble in Little China, if you guys ever seen that, when it was like, the skinheads went, "Rah!" and chased after him.
Oh.
And it was epic. Years later, Weston was playing somewhere in Wilkes-Barre. And I'm talking to him, I'm like, you used to have a red 76% uncertain t-shirt, didn't you? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, and I told him the story. He's like, that was you? And I'm like, yeah, that was me. That's how I met Chuck from Weston. I guess I don't want to bore you anymore, but, sorry.
Yeah.
Best thing to do when you go to a club, I'm sure all you touring guys know, you find a spot to fuck, and then you grab the flyer. That's what I always did. All right, that's all. I'm sorry.
Well, yes,
I get
let
excited.
me just say, you know,
Go for it, Dan.
I just want to say thank you to all the, you know, especially Vince from CC's.
I agree.
All the other clubs.
Donald doing sound at Metropolis for years. You know what I mean? Awesome. Metropolis. I love the Metropolis. Saw DRI there. Gangrene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All the
That's-
people, all
that's
the
a good-
bands that
you know what I mean?
contributed, and
Home base, obviously.
Right.
And thank you.
I was gonna say thank you, sir, for
Right there. Thank you for even
documenting.
considering us. Because you know what?
Because we're washed up.
Yeah.
I'm washed up.
We're country boys. You know.